before someone else replace our job, we should replace our job.
How much would you value DeepSeek's achievement, even if they distilled on OpenAI's models?
Even though I'm an open source believer, but in all of my production pipelines, I have never actually applied open source model. But what DeepSeek has done is they have basically showed us as an example that this is first of all possible.
Hey everyone, join with me Siddhant Goswami, co-founder and CTO of 100x Engineers. Hey Siddhant, so welcome to MLDS. How does it feel to be a part of part of so many people who are interested in Gen AI, machine learning? So how has your experience been so far at MLDS?
So first of all, thanks for having me, and this has been a great event so far. Like as I mentioned, found a lot of old friends here, met with bunch of people. I've been like following MLDS like I think from like last couple of years. So yeah, it's like a lovely experience so far, and great event you guys have hosted.
Right, thank you so much. And I think besides MLDS, there's also another big AI happening in India, which is CEO of OpenAI, Sam Altman, is in India. So obviously, there's no details revealed yet regarding how they're going to partner with India or the government. But what are your expectations regarding this meetup?
I think that's a good question. Although like even I don't have any clue right now, but what I expect is like because as Sam already mentioned, India is the second largest market for them, apart from US. So, but we haven't seen a lot of cost reduction for India. I think this is one of the talks which we've been like hearing and the rumors that maybe we can expect some slightly cheaper prices, the API plans, and even a subscription cost for maybe Indian users. Compared to also Hindi generation, because I've worked with OpenAI and like generating Hindi text. So Hindi is more expensive as compared to the English token generation. So they've been like trying to, I feel like some of the people I spoke to is like work on that aspect, trying to add more Indic languages across the India. And yeah, I think that are a couple of things which maybe I can think of, we can expect, yeah.
Right. And Siddharth, I just want to ask you why 100x engineers? Like, what was the motive behind, starting your journey at 100x, and basically what motivated you to start a cohort?
Oh, I think that's a very personal question,
Yeah.
but I'll tell you like my motivation. I'm a product of a poor education system. I like to believe that because while I was growing up, I used to like struggle with studies, and it's not because like I had an issue, but I was just very distracted, and I got access to computers at a very early stage. So I was I think 3-year-old when I got my computer first. I used to spend a lot of time there, and because of that, I used to get distracted. I was like, if I can like spend all of my time here, why I need to study and why I need to read all the subjects. So that was the one thing. And problem was like I think nobody was able to understand the curiosity behind this, and they were trying to force me to like go through a traditional curriculum, and no one was able to like you can say convince me to like do that. So for a very long time, it was like tussle between me like spending time with computers, building things there versus like reading the current you can say curriculum. And I realized like that approach didn't work well with me, and I've seen it doesn't like work out well with a lot of other students because education needs to be actually education should embrace the curiosity rather than just like suppressing it. And unfortunately like education system hasn't evolved into basically catering something like that because it's also a challenge, right? So after like spending almost like a decade and like doing startups and like building things, and I realized so we had exit. So before this I had like 2 companies, and after the last exit I realized okay, this time if I'm doing something it has to be like a very purpose driven, because I don't want to like make this second business just like to make some money or maybe like just to like start another company. This was one of my lifelong mission, right? I want to like help my country to basically fix the education and also like use AI, because now we can do that. Like before this this was the inflection point which basically now can help us to personalize the education to every Indian, every student, and we can maybe like potentially embrace their curiosity, like instead of like just suppressing that and like yeah, forcing them to like just study one particular curriculum. Yeah, so that's how it started, right? Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
that's quite interesting. I'd like to ask you two things that you just spoke. One, obviously, your talk on building AI agents, and number two, you running an educational platform for many aspiring engineers. But how far away are we from when an AI agent running something like you are doing today, picking up the latest curriculum and helping students by itself, and the students getting the best out of it by asking expert advice because there's no resource constraint with AI agents. So a very speculative question would be, what are the pitfalls when it comes to achieving such a thing, and how far away are we from achieving such kind of a thing?
Oh, that's a great question. First of all, so we tried that actually. I feel this is one of the theses is in our company is that before someone else replace our job, we should replace our job. So my other co-founder, he basically creates content for 100x. He leads content marketing. I lead curriculum design. So he has automated all of his workflows, and I'm basically also helping him in terms of doing that. So right now, every single video goes onto our page is completely AI generated. The voice, the avatar, even the scripts are very much you can say generated by the AI. The research part is still we are doing. We take the topic, we curate the content, and we just give it to AI. However, that's also one thing which recently OpenAI released their deep research tool. I've been working on a lot of tools like that. So I could see that potentially maybe in next 5-10 years we might not even need to do that, and we can completely automate the entire content generation. You can say as a function in the company. Uh, on the other hand, what I do is I basically just sit down and learn every new technology, read about the research paper, and bring all the insights what I can do, and try to put it in production, get some feedback, and then see okay what works for a particular use case or not. I think this type of workflow requires slightly more I will say human in the loop process, because you are talking to a lot of people. So my job right now is very less writing code on computer. It's more talking to founders, entrepreneurs, and engineers, working with them closely, and maybe say experimenting a particular new technology, and then getting the insights, okay what worked for you and what didn't work for you. So I think that is something which will still take some time. But again, as we are I think headed towards the AGI era, I don't have any particular, you can say, opinion about that this will not be, the AI will not be able to do this. So yeah, I think maybe in future when we have AGI, all of these things can be done. But until then we have to educate, we have to provide education, and yeah.
Obviously, I mean, someone has to build the
Yeah,
agents.
yeah,
And so I think you also spoke about content creation with AI.
yeah.
So is it purely due to the times, the amount of time it saves, or have you seen a drastic improvement in quality of the content generated with AI to a point where even if it takes more time, you're going to use AI to create content? Has it reached such a point even for you? Because I did hear a content creator speaking about that. So
Yeah, I think it happened for us, and it was very initially everybody was very skeptical that will people watch AI content or not. And we got some hit also, because first we did this experiment with Varun, and Varun started this using in his channel, and then we did this with our own channel, and we saw some skepticism from people that okay these guys are very lazy, they can't shoot videos. But what we saw is that people who are just hating it versus people who are actually consuming this particular piece of content for the news, that ratio was very very different. So it was I think somewhere around 10 is to sorry it's 1 is to 9, which was only 10% people are actually hating this, but 90% people. Because I'll tell you two main things what happened for us is that if there's a new particular technology coming in, there's a launch happened say 10 a.m. Today, it'll take us to shoot. Say it'll take couple of hours for us to shoot, finalize a script, and put that into the editing, and then put it out. And all of this time I can particularly save, and I can give my users potentially who wants to just consume news in couple of minutes rather than spending couple of hours. And I feel that's the value of news, right? If something just happened and we can just provide information at the same moment, I think that is where the alpha we have seen so far, and that is what most people started liking also, because we became one of the channel which is just instantly pushing out, you can say, right content at right time. And we grew our page from, I think now it's been sitting at 600,000 followers on Instagram, 180K on YouTube, and everything last 1.5 years. So in fact, after using the AI avatar, we have added 3,000 followers more, right? 300,000 followers more onto the platform, which was only because we were able to generate content at a speed which was not possible with the human approach, right? So yeah, it has improved both the efficiency as well as the quality of the content.
right. And now, obviously, there are a plethora of AI tools available today. So, especially from what you're teaching at 100x engineers. So, the employment opportunities for a person already having a computer science background and who's leveraging AI tools is obviously going to surge. But for someone who purely does not have a CS background, but who knows plenty of technical know-how on how to use these AI tools. How do you assess their employment opportunities in today's scenario?
Okay, I think that's also like I'll share one insight with you. So when we started the cohort, it's 1.5 years back. There was like a huge uncertainty about like the job market because we were like already seeing huge layoffs and the US market was going through recession. Um, but one of the common insight which we got after talking to founders, so I spoke to like almost by this time 1,000+ founders both in India and US, and was trying to like understand their hiring requirements, what are the things they look for. One thing which I realized is that now people are not coming with the same mindset that I need a traditional education, I need a traditional degree. As long as somebody can solve my problem today, they can basically like willing to put money and put like you can say bet on those kind of talent and people. And because of that particular reason in hiring, we have seen a lot of non-techies and even like people who had no coding background, but they like joined the cohort. They like started like learning about problem solving, or maybe like some of these people are already good at problem solving, but they started using these tools to help businesses. Either like that's what I say. Like if you can help a business make more money or save existing cost, you can basically definitely I can say like help them and like create employment opportunities for you. That is what we have seen. Primary roles where we help people, and what we have observed is like AI generalist is coming up as a new role. So we recently had a you can say hiring for Nikhil Kamat's podcast, which is WTF. So he hired like one person as an AI generalist. That was a term.
Oh, wow.
And the job of this guy was to actually figure out a workflow. How can he increase the reach of their podcast? So one of the common example is that yeah, now you have AI, so you can translate the language from English to Hindi or more regional language, and he has basically designed the workflow. So that is what I'm looking at it like, where people who do not have enough coding experience, but who can understand these tools, who can like design these workflows, come up with solutions. I think this is like emerging, and we have seen like more people coming in here. Yeah.
Right, that's interesting. And addressing the veil in the room, if I can say, talking about DeepSeek. So there are a lot of reports that it trained on OpenAI O1's outputs. Like, even if that is true, how much would you value DeepSeek's achievement? Even if they distilled on OpenAI's models, would you still say that it's a huge achievement to do so and build a cheap model?
I think yes, like I definitely like admire their team and like what they have done. It's like such a huge improvement. But I'll tell you like one of my experience. Before this, I have used a lot of open source models, and even though I'm an open source believer, but in all of my production pipelines, I have never actually applied open source model. I always still like I think just before launching DeepSeek, I was using all the proprietary models in the production
Okay.
pipeline because I know that uh, on that last edge of say 90 to 10% in terms of quality, like the proprietary models are always gonna be better. Or at least they are better right now. But what DeepSeek has done is like very interesting because they did distillation. So they basically used like again I'm not very sure whether they use OpenAI, but they
Yeah,
have
yeah.
used like a lot of other models and proprietary models in their data, which is a smarter way to actually train a large language model without spending too much cost. So they have basically showed us as an example that this is first of all possible, right? Like earlier, like there was a whole perception about that you can't build an LM if you don't have $1 billion in your bank.
Yep.
But they broke that assumption. I think that was very important
Right.
for us to understand as a community, and that gave a lot of hope to say engineers who are sitting in India, because now I see like a lot of people are willing to take that bet because they see okay, now it is possible, so I don't need $1 billion. Even if a small team, I can basically start maybe building something like this. So that was a very important, I think, shift. And the second thing is like because now we have a powerful model in the open source world, I can do a lot of experiments which I was not able to do before with the proprietary models. For example, agents is one of the area where like you need LLMs running in the loop. And the problem with the loop is that you always need to worry about your cost, because if that LM by any case goes into the infinite loop, or maybe it takes like multiple iterations, it will always going to increase your cost. So our all research projects was always constrained around the cost of the particular API. But with DeepSeek, what we can do is like we can just like download the model locally, and you can just like keep it running like all the time. So there is a model actually sitting in my PC right now in the lab, which has been running from last like 72 hours. So I'm just like trying to see like how well it can do if it has like 72 hours or maybe like say 3 to 4 days, and it can basically access all the files, maybe what's the quality of reports and research it can do. And that is something which is only possible today. It was not possible before. So I think because of these two things, I really see this like a huge improvement and yeah, contribution to the open source community.
Right, and obviously a lot of countries are have sort of woken up after DeepSeek's achievement, and our IT minister Ashwini Vaishnav told that he's probably going to have a foundational model from India soon, and an additional 2,000 crore was allocated on the India AI mission. So, how do you assess India's potential in the foundational model game, assuming that we need a foundational model? Because that's a different question: do we need or not? Assuming that we need, how do you assess India's potential in that?
I think that's an interesting point of view to actually look at from this area, whether like if we need the foundation model, then what can we expect and how can we achieve that. I would say like the problems we gonna face, it's gonna be very different than what West has faced. It's one major reason is the kind of diversity we have in India. I've been speaking to a lot of enterprises, including both Google, OpenAI, and for them like it's very difficult to like provide the same amount of cost or the same amount of accuracy with the Indian languages,
Right.
because first of all there is not enough data.
Right.
And even like if people who are like training these data, they need like you can say evaluate the output of the model, so they need like a set of people who are say good at like evaluating a particular model's output in one segment of the audience for one language, right? So there are like different set of challenges. There's like I forgot the name of that model, but I think Google is already working on Navrasa.
Right.
Yeah, so Navrasa was one of the model where like they have like used like Indic languages, and I've basically like met people like who've been like working on this model. They've been like going door to door, recording the audio samples of like people who are like living in the native regions and the areas, and the kind of like efforts and I think the data which we need, which is not available right now in the internet. First of all, that's gonna be like a major challenge. Like, how do we gather that? I've seen some initial success with the companies like Google; they've been able to do it, but even if you compile that, like how will you bring the cost down? I think those are the major questions. But I think if we are able to do it, and this is like still a question mark, we would be able to make like one of the most diverse model in the world, because the kind of
Right.
diversity we have in India is like I don't think like anyone else has in any other part of the world. So it will be like more capable, more cost efficient, and yeah, I would say I have very high hopes for this. Yeah.
Right. So one last question. In one short sentence, what's your hot take on AI? An unpopular opinion. In one very quick sentence.
Okay.
I'll put you on the spot now.
I'll think about it. Right. You said two things.
A hot take on AI.
Hot take on AI. Let's do a hot take on AI. I think AI is going to change the education fundamentally.
Right.
We will never go back to the same way of how we learn things, especially like after AGI.
Right.
Yeah, and even like what we've seen today also, it's like I don't think like yeah, education will be the same.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
I think that should be it. Thank you so much,
yeah.
Siddhant. It was fun talking to you.
Thanks.